Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Heaven is holding its breath, waiting for you to realize that what you are living through right now is not ordinary delay. It is divine strategy. Everything that seems to have stopped around you is not working against you. It is aligning for you. What feels like confusion is coordination from above. Then you are standing on sacred ground, even if it doesn't look like it. The silence of heaven is not rejection, it is recalibration. God is positioning you for a miracle that cannot and will not be stopped. Listen, this is not coincidence. Heaven does not operate by chance. The steps you have taken, even the ones you regret, are being woven into a tapestry that will soon make perfect sense. You may have thought your prayers went unheard, but every whisper was recorded. Every tear became part of your preparation. The delay that frustrated you has been the very evidence that God is still at work. When heaven is arranging something that cannot fail, time slows down to divine pace. You are not forgotten. Chosen one, you have been hidden, like a seed under soil, unseen but not unloved. Hidden things are holy things. The enemy tried to bury you, but he did not realize that burial and planting look the same to the naked eye. The difference is purpose. You were not buried to die, you were planted to grow. Your silence was the soil where your faith learned how to breathe. Your isolation was the cocoon where your wings began to form. What God is about to release in your life cannot be explained by logic. You will look back at these waiting years and realize heaven never wastes time. The people who left were part of the pruning, not the punishment. The plans that failed were protection, not rejection. God removed what could not carry your next season. Every closed door was mercy. Every delay was strategy. Every disappointment was a hidden detour leading you closer to destiny. Chosen one, I know you felt forgotten. There were moments when you wondered if God still saw you. But He did. He saw the tears no one else saw. He heard the prayers you could barely speak. He stood beside you in the valley and whispered, "Hold on, I'm still in control." Heaven has been moving pieces behind the scenes, shifting hearts, arranging timing, and setting the stage for your breakthrough. Do not mistake divine silence for divine absence. Heaven often moves in whispers before it thunders. When it feels like nothing is happening, everything is happening. Angels are being dispatched, paths are being cleared, the right people are being positioned. The miracle that looked delayed is already on its way. You are not waiting for God to move. God is waiting for the fullness of your preparation to meet the fullness of His plan. There is power in this moment of stillness. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Heaven's pause is a prophetic pause, an intermission before acceleration. The next act of your story will unfold so quickly that you will barely have time to process it. What took years to build will shift in a single moment. You will see why you had to go through every test, why every no was necessary, and why you had to lose some things that once felt irreplaceable. Do you feel the pull in your spirit, that trembling, that awareness that something is about to change? It's heaven's signal that positioning is complete. You are stepping into alignment. The winds are shifting in your favor. The same hand that allowed the storm is now commanding the calm. The same God who tested your endurance is now rewarding your faithfulness. The time of hiddenness is ending. Revelation is near. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified. The Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave nor forsake you. Take that truth into your soul. You were never abandoned in the stillness. Every quiet season was an incubation chamber for power. The God who promised to never forsake you has been standing guard over your destiny. He will not let you miss what He designed for you. You are stepping into the manifestation of promises that have been waiting for your maturity, your surrender, your readiness. So stand tall, chosen one. Do not rush the pause. Let the silence finish its work, because when heaven speaks again, everything will shift at once. The favor that seemed delayed will flow like a river. The miracle that felt impossible will unfold before your eyes. And when it happens, you will know this was never random. You were always being positioned. You were always being prepared. If this message resonates in your spirit, take this as your confirmation. Like this word, share it so others can find their faith again. And subscribe to stay connected with the flow of divine revelation. And when you do, write this in the comments below as your prophetic declaration of faith. 777. Chosen one. What you call delay has been divine design. Every detour, every seeming setback, every moment you thought was wasted was actually precision, God's hidden hand moving quietly in the shadows. While you were questioning, heaven was constructing. While you were praying for progress, the Lord was orchestrating protection. You have not been still, you have been positioned. The invisible movements of God are rarely comfortable, but they are always perfect. You see, when heaven begins to reposition a life, it often looks like confusion. Suddenly, people leave without warning. Plans that once seemed solid begin to crumble. Opportunities you expected to work out vanish overnight. You find yourself in the middle of nowhere, wondering how everything fell apart. But from heaven's view, nothing is falling apart, everything is falling into place. What looked like loss was divine rearrangement. God has been shifting things, aligning events, and pruning distractions so that when your miracle arrives, there will be nothing left that can sabotage it. The hidden positioning of God is subtle. He doesn't announce His strategy because revelation too early can draw interference from the enemy. That's why your story feels unpredictable. The reason you haven't been able to explain your journey is because heaven is protecting the blueprint. Sometimes what looks like God's silence is His security system. He covers the work He's doing in you until the time of unveiling. Beloved, you must understand before divine elevation comes divine concealment. Think of Joseph, misunderstood by his brothers, thrown into a pit, and sold into slavery. From the outside, it looked like tragedy, but in heaven's perspective, every step led him closer to the palace. That's what's happening to you now. The pit was positioning. The betrayal was transportation. The prison was preparation. When God finally unveiled His plan, Joseph could say, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Chosen one, you have walked through closed doors and unanswered questions. You have looked at others rising faster and you wondered, "Lord, why not me?" But hear this truth: quick elevation without foundation leads to collapse. God has been anchoring you deeply so that when the winds of favor blow, you will not be uprooted. You are being built for endurance, not entertainment. Every quiet moment has been strengthening your spiritual backbone, shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of the miraculous without breaking under it. Heaven has been moving details you cannot see. Someone's heart is being softened right now to bless you. A conversation you are not part of is preparing the next chapter of your destiny. A divine connection is being scheduled in the unseen realm. God doesn't need your understanding to complete His plan. He only needs your trust. The unseen hand of the Almighty has already written the ending. You are walking through paragraphs that heaven finished long ago. The Spirit spoke through the psalmist, reminding us of the hidden rhythm of divine orchestration. It is recorded in the book of Psalms. Chapter 37, verse 23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Every step, even the painful ones, has been ordered. The mistakes you thought ruined your story are the very roads that brought you here. The people who walked away were not meant to stand in your spotlight. The detours that confused you were actually divine corridors. When God orders your steps, He also orders your stops. What didn't move was just as strategic as what did. Every moment of waiting, every door that stayed shut, every opportunity that slipped away was part of heaven's choreography. If you could see the full pattern, you would thank God for the delays. You would realize that His no was mercy, His wait was protection, and His silence was strategy. The Lord has been positioning you quietly so that when the miracle manifests, there will be no doubt it was Him. The people who doubted you will see that what was hidden was holy. The same ones who questioned your path will witness your elevation. Chosen one, release the anxiety of control. You don't have to understand every detail to be in alignment. Trust the author. You are not lost. You are led. You are not forgotten. You are focused. Even when you cannot trace God's hand, you can trust His heart. The hidden season is not a pause in your destiny. It is the construction zone of your miracle. There will come a day soon when the pieces will click into place, and you will look back and realize that the confusion was actually choreography. Heaven was not punishing you, it was positioning you. And the moment you step into what has been waiting, it will all make sense. Chosen one, you have walked through crushing. The kind of pressure that breaks bones but builds character, that strips away false strength until all that remains is pure faith. You have been pressed on every side, misunderstood, betrayed, and stretched beyond your limits. Yet somehow you are still standing. That alone is evidence that heaven has had its hand upon you all along. You thought the pain was punishment, but it was preparation. The crushing was not meant to destroy you, it was meant to create capacity for glory. There are seasons when God allows you to be broken, not because He is cruel, but because He is crafting something within you that can only emerge through pain. Oil is only produced when olives are crushed. Wine only flows when grapes are pressed. Anointing only comes when vessels are shattered. You were never meant to escape the process. You were chosen to endure it so that others might be freed through your endurance. Think of this: gold is refined by fire, not comfort. Diamonds are formed under pressure, not ease. You have been refined, purified, and shaped by the hands of a God who knows exactly how much pressure you can bear. Every betrayal made you wiser. Every heartbreak deepened your compassion. Every disappointment became a chisel shaping your destiny. What the enemy used to weaken you has become your weapon. You now carry wisdom that cannot be taught, only lived. In the crushing, God revealed Himself differently. When everything familiar was stripped away, you discovered who He truly was: your sustainer, your defender, your healer. You learned to pray in the dark, to praise when nothing made sense, to trust when there was no visible reason to. That is where heaven marks its chosen ones in the silent nights of surrender. Beloved, don't resent the crushing. It is the birthplace of oil. Every tear that fell became fuel for your next season. Every rejection redirected you closer to your assignment. You thought people walked away from you, but heaven was clearing the room for your transformation. The people who left could not handle the version of you that is emerging. God is protecting your elevation by separating you from what cannot rise with you. Now, you stand on the other side of the storm, wounded, yes, but wiser. Broken, but not bitter. You have been remade in the furnace of affliction. Heaven's fingerprints are all over your scars. The crushing did not kill you because it was never meant to. It was meant to prove that you carry something eternal, something indestructible. You carry oil that darkness cannot counterfeit. You are walking proof that resurrection still happens in real time, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, recorded in the book of Job, chapter 13, verse 15. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Those are not just words, they are your story. You have lived this verse. You have trusted when it made no sense, believed when the evidence said give up, and stood firm when everything tried to break you. That is the faith heaven calls unshakable. That is the strength of a chosen one. And now, heaven whispers you are ready. Ready to carry more glory. Ready to lead others through what once almost destroyed you. Your endurance has become your testimony, and your pain has become prophecy. Every wound has been transformed into a doorway for healing others. You are now walking with authority in areas where you once bled. Chosen one. This is the mystery of divine crushing. It multiplies you. The more you were broken, the more heaven increased you. The more you lost, the more space God created for his power. Your pain has not been wasted. It has been converted into spiritual weight. You are no longer fragile. You are fortified. You are not surviving anymore. You are carrying purpose. The time has come to shift from mourning to movement. The ashes have settled, and beauty is beginning to rise. Look at yourself. What once hurt now humbles you. What once broke you now builds you. You are standing in resurrection strength, the kind that terrifies darkness. Now, as an act of faith, declare it with your words. Type this in the comments below, I still trust. Write it not just as text, but as testimony. When you declare it, you are breaking every lingering chain of fear and hopelessness. You are reminding your soul and the unseen world that even after the crushing, your faith still stands. You are saying to heaven, I will not waste my pain, I will walk in the purpose it produced. This declaration is not about public affirmation. It's about alignment. It tells God, I am ready for what's next. Every time you say I still trust, you open the door wider for divine movement. Heaven hears your agreement, and angels respond. So say it once more in your heart as you read these final lines. You still trust, you still believe, and you still rise. Because chosen ones are not defined by what breaks them, they are defined by what they become after the breaking. And you, beloved, have become unbreakable. Chosen one, while you sleep, heaven moves. When your eyes close and your body rests, the unseen realm awakens with purpose. Angels, divine messengers, move across time and space to execute God's will on your behalf. They are the silent agents of alignment, shifting circumstances, touching hearts, and preparing doors you do not yet know exist. You think you are waiting, but in truth, you are being prepared for what has already begun. The orchestration of heaven never sleeps. There are prayers you prayed months, even years ago, that have not vanished into the air. They are alive seeds planted in eternity. Angels have carried those petitions into the courts of heaven, and now the answers are being released at the appointed time. The delays you see are not denials. They are divine timing, waiting for every piece to align perfectly. God does not release miracles prematurely. He waits until everything and everyone connected to your promise is in position. Even now, heaven is speaking your name in rooms where you have never walked. Someone is being stirred to remember you. Someone is being moved to bless you. Someone's heart is being softened toward you. These movements are invisible but intentional. You may not see angels with your physical eyes, but their fingerprints mark the path of your life. chosen one. Do you realize that some of the worst things that could have happened to you never happened because heaven intervened? That accident that almost occurred, that plan that fell apart, that betrayal that was exposed just in time, these were not coincidences. They were interventions. Heaven does not always announce its victories. Sometimes it simply prevents disaster and lets you continue unaware of how close darkness came. Every divine movement begins in silence. The angels that encamp around you do not need applause or recognition. Their obedience is their worship. They move at the sound of God's word, fulfilling His will with precision. This is why you cannot afford to speak fear over your life. Your words are signals in the spiritual realm. Speak faith, and heaven moves. Speak doubt, and heaven waits. You carry authority in your voice that activates unseen armies. When you speak what God has spoken, the supernatural aligns with your agreement. Think back to the times you felt protected without understanding why. The door that closed right before disaster. The phone call that came at the exact right moment. The sense in your spirit that told you to turn left instead of right. These were not random. Heaven was guiding you, even when you didn't know you were being guided. God's protection is not always visible, but it is always effective. You have never walked alone, even in your loneliest hours. Sometimes, when life seems quiet, that is the most active moment in the spiritual realm. Heaven is not idle when you are weary. Angels move in rhythm with God's plan, guarding your destiny like soldiers guarding a crown. You are surrounded, chosen one. The enemy cannot touch what heaven protects. You have endured storms not because you are strong, but because divine strength surrounded you. Every time you thought you couldn't go on, invisible hands lifted your spirit just enough to take another step. The Word of God reveals this truth through the writings of David. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. That is not poetry, it is law. Heaven is under divine instruction concerning you. You are not at the mercy of chaos. You are under the command of divine order. The same way a general commands his soldiers, the Almighty commands his angels to watch over your path. You may not see them, but you have never taken a breath without their protection. Every heartbeat testifies to unseen guardians fulfilling divine assignment. Chosen one. This is why peace must be your posture. You do not fight alone. The supernatural is not a story, it is your present reality. The more aware you become of heaven's movement, the less fear can control you. When you walk into a room, you do not walk in alone. When you face opposition, you are outnumbered but in your favor. The armies of light stand beside you, unseen but unstoppable. So rest, even when things look uncertain. While you sleep, heaven works. When you rest your mind, angels rise to war on your behalf. Every worry you release becomes an instruction for heaven to move. God never wastes a night. He uses them to write miracles into your mornings. You will wake up one day soon and realize that everything shifted while you were still resting. Doors will open. Hearts will change. And what once resisted you will suddenly make way. Chosen one, there comes a moment when heaven begins to strip away everything that was never meant to stay. The counterfeit connections, the half-blessings, the people who wore loyalty like a costume. God removes them not to wound you, but to heal you. It can feel cruel when He begins to prune, yet pruning is proof of purpose. When you feel something being torn from your hands, do not fight it. Sometimes, heaven's no is the loudest yes to your destiny. You've seen it before, friendships fading without explanation. Relationships dissolving that once seemed eternal. Plans that appeared blessed suddenly collapsing. You thought you were losing everything. But heaven was clearing the stage. The counterfeit must break before the genuine can arrive. The things that looked perfect in the beginning were never meant to carry the weight of your calling. God will not let imitation remain where He intends to release authenticity. Imagine a sculptor chiseling stone. Every strike seems violent, yet each one reveals more of the masterpiece hidden within. That is what God has been doing with you. Every loss was a chisel. Every rejection was a strike. Every disappointment carved away what did not belong to the design. You are not being destroyed, you are being defined. Heaven has seen what you could not. Some connections that glittered with promise carried hidden corrosion. God, in His mercy, broke them before they could break you. He exposed hearts before they could betray yours. You prayed for revelation, and He answered not by showing you everything, but by removing what could not survive your next level. The truth is, counterfeits often arrive first because the enemy rushes what God is still refining. But heaven never competes. It perfects. Chosen one, do not mourn what God has removed. He does not take without intention. When He empties your hands, it is only to fill them with something that cannot be taken away. The season of subtraction is not punishment, it is preparation. You are being positioned for authenticity, authentic joy, authentic purpose, authentic people, authentic provision. What's real is on its way, and when it comes, you'll understand why the false had to fade. You must learn to bless the goodbye. Every farewell you faced was heaven whispering, I'm making space. The weight you carried from relationships built on illusion was too heavy for your next chapter. What is coming demands purity of motive and clarity of spirit. You cannot pour new wine into old wineskin. The breaking of counterfeits is mercy disguised as loss. The voice of Christ spoke clearly about this principle, and it was recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 13. Every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. These are not harsh words, they are liberating ones. God will uproot what He never planted. He will not allow what is false to masquerade as fruitful forever. The things falling apart were never built by His hand. When He begins to uproot, it is because the soil must be cleared for the seed of promise to grow. Chosen one, you are standing in a divine garden. Some plants have been pulled out, their roots exposed, but look closely, the soil beneath is rich. It is ready. Soon, new life will sprout where loss once lived. The ground that once looked barren will bloom again, and this time, what grows will last. Your task is simple, trust the gardener. When He removes, thank Him. When He cuts, praise Him. Because He never subtracts without multiplying later. What He plants in your life will bear fruit in season, and no counterfeit can replicate it. You will recognize the real not by how loud it appears, but by how deeply it roots in peace. So breathe deeply. The breaking season is almost over. The pruning was painful, yes, but the fruit will be worth it. What's coming will not deceive you, drain you, or disappear, or it will anchor you, and it will bless you, it will fit you. And when that newness begins to bloom, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. If these words have spoken to your heart, if you've recognized the fingerprints of God in the things you once called loss, consider giving back in gratitude. A simple act of love, sharing this message, liking it, subscribing for more, or even sowing a seed of support helps this light reach others still walking through their own breaking. Think of it as watering the soil that once held your tears. Every share becomes a seed planted in another soul's healing. Every gesture of generosity becomes sunlight for someone else's faith. You have been through enough tearing. Now comes the planting. Heaven is not finished with you, it is just beginning to bloom through you. And the beauty that's coming will not fade, because this time it's real. Chosen one, everything in your life that once seemed scattered is now being called into divine order. What felt like chaos is beginning to align, piece by piece, in perfect rhythm with heaven's design. You may not see it yet, but the realignment has already begun. God is not only restoring what was broken, He is reordering what was misplaced. Every connection, every opportunity, every promise that belongs to your purpose is shifting back into position. There were moments when you thought your life was unraveling. Plans collapsed, relationships shifted. Stability seemed to vanish like sand slipping through your fingers. But heaven was not dismantling you. It was dismantling what no longer fit the structure of your future. When God rebuilds, He does not add new stones on a weak foundation. He clears the ground until only truth remains, then reconstructs with precision. You are being rebuilt, not ruined. The prophetic realignment often feels uncomfortable because it requires surrender. God begins to reorder the things we tried to control. He removes what we idolized, redefines what we misunderstood, and returns to us the peace we traded for anxiety. You cannot step into divine order while still clinging to what was built on confusion. That is why certain chapters have closed without your consent. The author decided it was time for a rewrite. Chosen one, pay attention to what is shifting around you right now. Some relationships are resurfacing, others are fading. New ideas are stirring, and old distractions are losing power. This is not coincidence, it is coordination. Heaven is setting your environment to match your assignment. You are entering a season where everything that is not aligned with God's purpose will begin to feel heavy, out of place, or irrelevant. Do not resist it. Discern it. The shaking is proof of order being restored. You might feel as though you've lost control, but that's exactly where divine order begins, at the point where human strength ends. When God takes control, the storms calm not because they vanish, but because your soul aligns with peace. The internal chaos begins to quiet, and suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to make sense. The divine order of heaven is not loud, it is calm. It moves silently, yet powerfully, pulling everything back into its rightful place. Think of your life as a constellation. Each star, each season, each moment of pain and joy is part of a grand design. You may not see the full picture when you stand too close, but when heaven pulls you higher, you'll see that every dot of pain connected into a pattern of purpose. Nothing was wasted. Every heartbreak was a recalibration. Every delay was timing being perfected. The Apostle Paul wrote about this mystery captured in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order. That is not merely instruction, it is prophecy. The moment God speaks order, confusion loses its authority. What once spiraled out of control begins to stabilize. You will start to notice divine symmetry returning to your days. Conversations that used to drain you will be replaced by connections that strengthen you. Finances that felt unstable will begin to flow in rhythm with purpose. Even your thoughts will quiet as heaven's clarity begins to settle inside you. Chosen one. Divine order is not about perfection, it is about alignment. You will still face storms, but you will not be shaken by them. You will still encounter waiting, but you will not fear the silence. When your spirit aligns with heaven, even chaos becomes an instrument for your growth. God is tuning every string of your life like a musician tunes an instrument, tightening some, loosening others until harmony returns. Now, As this word meets your heart, take a breath. Let the heaviness lift. The disorder that has plagued your spirit is being lifted off even now. The confusion that clouded your path is dissolving. You will soon find yourself saying, "Now I understand why it had to happen that way." Divine order never misses its mark. Heaven's timing never arrives late. You are right on schedule. And when you feel that gentle peace returning, when your days begin to flow again with grace and purpose, remember this. It was not because you forced it, but because you finally surrendered. Heaven does its best work when you let go of control. Chosen one. This is your moment to come into agreement with divine realignment. Comment this prophetic number below as a sign of agreement with heaven's order. Psalm 4:4. Do not write it casually, type it as a declaration that you are ready for divine sequence. The number 444 symbolizes perfect heavenly order, divine establishment, and the completion of alignment. When you declare it, you are saying, "Lord, I surrender my chaos to your design. I choose your timing over my impatience. I align with your rhythm." Let your comment be more than words. Let it be your act of faith. For as you align with heaven, heaven aligns everything for you. Chosen one. The wilderness has been your classroom. You did not choose it, but heaven led you there. For there were lessons you could never have learned in comfort. In the wilderness, distractions are stripped away. There are no crowds to applaud you, no noise to hide behind, only silence, solitude, and the whisper of God. It is there, in the vast emptiness, that divine instruction is carved into the soul. You entered broken, but you will emerge built. The wilderness is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the sacred place where God reveals who He is and who you are. You learned endurance when the path stretched longer than expected. You learned humility when resources ran dry. You learned discernment when every voice seemed to offer a shortcut. In the wilderness, shortcuts disappear. Only obedience remains. Heaven teaches through repetition and silence, through loss and rediscovery. The wilderness becomes a mirror, showing you the parts of yourself you didn't know were still alive. The fear, the pride, the impatience, and it invites you to surrender them one by one. Think back on those seasons where you felt forsaken. You looked around and saw no way forward. The promises you once clung to felt like fading echoes. You wondered if you had misheard God. Yet, it was in that silence that your hearing sharpened. The absence of everything else made His presence unmistakable. What looked like abandonment was intimacy in disguise. When the world stopped speaking, heaven began to whisper. In the wilderness, God removes the scaffolding so you can learn to stand without external support. You lose people, positions, possessions, everything that gave you false identity. He strips it away not to leave you empty, but to make you whole. The emptiness becomes space for revelation. You learn that joy can exist without applause and peace can exist without answers. That's when the wilderness becomes holy ground, when you stop asking for the way out and start asking for the lesson within. Chosen one. The wilderness seasons are the birthplace of power. Before Moses faced Pharaoh, he spent 40 years in the desert learning the language of dependence. Before David became king, he learned worship in caves. Before Jesus began his ministry, he fasted in the wilderness, confronting every temptation that would later try to dethrone him. No one escapes this pattern. Every chosen one walks through desert winds before walking in divine authority. You may not realize it, but your wilderness has built you into someone different. You have learned to recognize false voices, to discern genuine peace from counterfeit calm. You have become sensitive to heaven's rhythm, alert to divine timing. The person who entered the wilderness was unsure, reactive, and easily swayed. The one emerging from it walks with quiet confidence and anchored faith. You have been tested, not to prove your weakness, but to confirm your strength. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verses 15 and 16. He led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, where there was no water. Who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, to humble thee, and to prove thee, to do thee good at thy latter end. Those ancient words still echo with truth. The same God who led Israel through dry land leads you through spiritual droughts. The same God who provided manna when nothing else could sustain will continue to feed your faith with daily grace. You are not forgotten in the desert, you are being sustained by unseen provision. Do not despise the season of hiddenness. In it, heaven trains warriors. You are learning patience, faith, endurance, and discernment, the currencies of destiny. You are being equipped not just to survive storms, but to still them. Every lonely night has been a classroom. Every unanswered prayer has been an assignment in trust. The wilderness is where intimacy is forged, where revelation becomes reality. Soon, you will look back on this barren stretch and see how fertile it truly was. Seeds were planted in you that could not have grown anywhere else. Compassion was birthed through your tears. Wisdom took root through your waiting. When you step out of this wilderness, you will not just walk, you will lead. Your testimony will become someone else's roadmap. Chosen one, the wilderness is not the end. It is the bridge between promise and possession. The path may feel long, but every step has purpose. You are not wandering, you are being guided. Each sunrise in this barren place is another sign that God's mercy still covers you. The wilderness will not last forever, but the strength it builds in you will. When the season shifts, you will carry something greater than comfort. You will carry clarity, authority, and the quiet confidence of one who has seen God provide in impossible places. And when you emerge, you will know this truth deep within your spirit: the wilderness was never about where you were going, but who you were becoming. Chosen one. Heaven is preparing to seat you at a table you did not build. The very places that once closed their doors to you will open again, but this time, not through your effort, through divine appointment. The seasons of rejection were never about your worth. They were about timing. You were not being denied, you were being preserved until the atmosphere matched your anointing. Now the moment approaches when God will display publicly what He developed privately. This is the mystery of divine vindication. God never forgets the ones who stayed faithful in obscurity. Every tear, every prayer whispered through clenched hands. Every act of quiet obedience was seen. The same people who doubted your calling will soon witness the manifestation of it, not to humiliate them, but to reveal His faithfulness through you. Your table will not be set in secret, it will stand in the open, surrounded by the echoes of those who once said you would not make it. You will not need to defend yourself. The favor of God will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give. Where you were once silenced, heaven will give you voice. Where you were ignored, God will make you visible. It is not pride, it is prophecy being fulfilled. The light that shines from you will not come from striving. It will come from surrender. Think of Joseph again, sold by brothers, forgotten by men but never overlooked by heaven. His prison became the pathway to the palace. His faithfulness in obscurity positioned him for prominence. When Pharaoh finally summoned him, Joseph didn't chase the throne called for him. That is how divine elevation works. When the season is right, heaven calls your name. and no power can silence it. Chosen one. You must understand that God's justice is not revenge, it is restoration. He does not lift you to prove others wrong. He lifts you to prove His word right. Every betrayal was part of the blueprint. Every false accusation, every dismissal, every time you were pushed aside, these were tools heaven used to refine your humility and strengthen your grace. The fire that was meant to destroy you only purified what could not burn. Now, you stand as gold-tested and ready for display. Do not allow bitterness to poison your table. When God sets it before you, it will not be a feast of pride, but of peace. The invitation is not to gloat, but to glorify. Some of the very people who hurt you may find themselves sitting across from you, needing the grace you now carry. And when that happens, you will know you have truly healed when you can feed those who once wounded you. That is kingdom elevation. The psalmist once wrote words that echo perfectly with your present moment. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. That is not merely poetic, it is prophetic. The table is not just a meal, it is a manifestation of vindication. The oil upon your head is not decoration, it is designation. God anoints before He appoints. The overflowing cup represents the abundance that comes when you choose forgiveness over resentment. This is not just about material blessing, it's about spiritual stature. Chosen one. Remember this. The table is not a reward for perfection, it's a reward for perseverance. It belongs to those who refuse to bow to bitterness, who remained faithful when no one applauded. It is the outcome of secret battles won in silence. When you sit at that table, do not forget the nights you spent crying out for light. Each tear watered the ground where your miracle now grows. In this coming season, recognition will not feel like promotion. It will feel like purpose. God will place you where your voice brings healing, where your presence brings clarity, where your faith brings order. The elevation will not feed your ego, it will fulfill your assignment. You are not being exalted for applause, you are being positioned for impact. Soon, you will stand in places you once only prayed about. Doors will open that your hands never touched. Invitations will come that your reputation did not earn. And through it all, you will know it was not by your strength, but by grace. For what is grace, if not the power of God moving where human effort ends? So, when you see the table set, sit with humility. When you see the cup overflow, drink with gratitude. You are about to feast in the very place where you once wept. And when you do, remember it was never about proving your worth. It was always about revealing His glory. Chosen one. The greatest battles are often the quiet ones, the wars fought in thought, in solitude, in silence. You may not wear armor or swing a sword, yet every day your spirit stands against forces that want to silence your light. There has been a silent war over your destiny. The darkness has studied you, waiting for moments of exhaustion, hoping you would lay down your faith. But you have not. Though weary, you are still standing. And that alone is a declaration that heaven has not lost you. You have faced invisible warfare anxiety that comes without warning. Waves of discouragement that seem to have no source. A heaviness that tries to sit on your chest in the middle of the night. These are not random emotions, they are spiritual attempts to suffocate purpose. Yet every time you rise again, every time you choose faith over fear, you release light that terrifies the darkness. You do not need to shout to win your endurance's victory. There were moments when it seemed easier to quit, to walk away from the path altogether. You asked, "Why does it feel like everything fights against me?" The answer is simple: because you are a threat. Darkness does not waste its energy on the passive. It only attacks the anointed. You carry something eternal, something the enemy cannot duplicate: divine assignment. That's why the resistance has been so relentless. But take heart, what you are feeling is not defeat. It is proof that heaven still trusts you with the battle. Chosen one, you must learn to discern spiritual fatigue from failure. You are not losing, you are growing stronger, more aware, more equipped. Heaven does not call warriors who have never bled. Every scar you carry is evidence of survival. You have fought unseen wars and won victories that even you do not fully comprehend. You have been trained by tears and strengthened through silence. You are not behind, you are battle-tested. The enemy's most dangerous weapon is not chaos, it's subtlety. He whispers doubt, sows comparison, and tempts distraction. He wants you to forget who you are and what you carry. That's why you must guard your atmosphere. Protect your peace like sacred treasure. What you feed your spirit either fuels your fire or dims it. The battlefield is not always external. Most of the time, it's the space between your ears and within your heart. The Spirit of the Lord speaks clearly through the writings of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Every tongue against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is heaven's legal decree over you. The weapons may form, but they cannot finish. The plots may rise, but they will collapse under divine judgment. Your destiny carries its own protection clause. Every attack that was meant to break you has already been rerouted to build you. Even when it seemed like all hope was lost, grace stood between you and destruction. You have been shielded by covenant, guarded by promise. Chosen one. Hear this truth: the battle was never about your weakness. It was about your inheritance. The enemy attacked not because you were failing, but because you were crossing into promise. Resistance increases near breakthrough. The warfare you've been feeling is the sound of the enemy panicking because your victory is too close to stop. Now, pause for a moment and breathe. Let peace return to your chest. You are not overwhelmed, you are awakening. You are beginning to see that even your pain was prophecy. The nights you thought would destroy you became the birthplace of wisdom. You have learned how to fight without hatred, to love without fear, to believe without visible proof. That is how heaven shapes champions. And now, chosen one, as a sign of faith. Make this declaration in the comments below: I will endure. Do not write it as empty word. Type it with conviction, with the authority of someone who has seen darkness and refused to bow. Say it because you know that endurance is the proof of faith. When you declare, I will endure, you are not glorifying struggle, you are acknowledging strength. You are announcing to every invisible force that your spirit remains unbroken, that your purpose remains intact, and that your assignment remains unstoppable. Each time you speak those words, heaven hears alignment. Angels respond, courage returns, fear loses ground. The storm may rage, but your anchor holds. You are still standing because divine power sustains you. The silent war is real, but your victory is louder. And soon, what was once unseen will manifest for all to witness, the proof that no weapon, no whisper, no darkness could stop what God has ordained in you. Chosen one, there comes a moment when heaven's timing collides with your obedience, and everything begins to move with a speed that confuses logic. You are standing on the threshold of divine acceleration, where what once took years will now take days, where doors that resisted you for seasons will swing open at the sound of your name. Do not mistake this sudden movement for chaos. It is holy momentum. When God breathes, time itself bends to His will. For so long, it felt like you were trudging through mud, pushing forward yet moving inches at a time. You thought you were stuck, but you were simply being rooted. A tree cannot rise until its roots have found depth. Heaven was anchoring you so that when the winds of acceleration came, you would not be uprooted by your own growth. The waiting season has not been wasted, it has been foundational. And now, the structure is strong enough to carry what's coming. Acceleration without preparation destroys. Acceleration after preparation multiplies. You have been prepared. You have learned patience, discernment, endurance, and gratitude, the currencies required to sustain divine speed. You've been tested with small things so you can be trusted with great ones. And now, God's timing, the one you thought was delayed, is about to overtake you. Think of a bow and arrow. The further the arrow is pulled back, the farther it will fly. You've felt the tension of that pull, haven't you? Seasons where life stretched you further than you thought possible. Times when you cried out, "God, why am I being pulled in reverse?" But now you understand the backward pull was not punishment. It was potential gathering momentum. Heaven was aiming you, not restraining you. The release is coming, and when it does, you will soar beyond where effort could have ever taken you. Chosen one. Acceleration looks strange at first. Opportunities begin to appear unexpectedly. People you never met begin to mention your name. Closed doors unlock, not through striving, but through grace. You will look around and realize that the things you used to chase are now chasing you. That is what divine acceleration feels like. It's when the promise starts running faster than your fear. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, recorded in the book of Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 12. Then said the Lord unto me, Thou hast well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. Hasten, a word that means to hurry, to quicken, to move swiftly toward completion. This is what God is doing now. What He spoke over you long ago is entering fulfillment speed. Promises are no longer pending. They are in performance mode. The blueprint of your life is unfolding rapidly, and every delay you endured will now make sense in reverse. But acceleration requires awareness. You must be sensitive enough to recognize opportunity when it knocks. It won't always come wrapped in comfort. It may arrive disguised as responsibility, challenge, or unexpected change. Be ready to move when heaven signals. You cannot carry old fear into a season of fast movement. God is shifting you from observation to participation. You will no longer be the spectator of miracles, you will be the vessel through which they flow. Think of a river breaking through a dam. The water was always there, gathering strength behind the barrier. When the dam finally cracks, the flow cannot be stopped. That's what's about to happen in your life. Everything that was held back by delay is gathering momentum for a flood of fulfillment. Do not fear the surge. Flow with it. Let the Spirit carry you into the new places you prayed for. And when the flood of favor comes, remember to stay humble. Divine speed is not meant to make you boastful. It is meant to make you fruitful. Use your voice to lift others, your resources to heal, your wisdom to guide. The faster you rise, the deeper your compassion must grow. Heaven accelerates those who will use success as service. Beloved, this message is not coincidence, it is confirmation. You are hearing it because heaven wants you ready for what's next. So when acceleration begins, don't resist it, don't fear it, and don't run from it. Let it move you. God has already prepared the path. Your job is simply to walk it with courage. If this word stirs something in your heart, if you feel that quiet nudge in your spirit saying, "This is for me," then don't let it pass. Take a small, intentional step of agreement like this message as a public amen. Share it so others can feel the same wind of acceleration that's about to carry you. Subscribe to stay anchored to what heaven is releasing next. And if you feel led, sow a seed of support. Think of it not as a transaction, but as participation, as if you were placing a stone in a river that will flow towards someone else's breakthrough. Every act of giving, every moment of sharing, every gesture of encouragement becomes another wave in this current of grace. You are not just receiving a word, you are becoming part of its movement. Chosen one, prepare yourself. The bow has been drawn long enough. The release is now. And when it happens, it will be so swift, so clear, so unstoppable that even your enemies will say, "Surely, the hand of God has done this." Chosen one. When heaven decrees favor over a life, no gate can remain closed. You are entering a season where doors that refuse to open will not only unlock, they will stay open. Opportunities you once had to chase will begin to seek you. This is what divine favor looks like, not forced entry, but effortless access. You will not have to knock with desperation. The sound of your obedience will be enough. There were doors that denied you. Yes. You knocked, waited, prayed, and still heard silence. But now, as alignment meets divine timing, those same doors are beginning to tremble. Heaven has decided it is time. When the King sends his decree, no earthly force can block it. The keys to your next chapter are already turning in the locks of unseen realms. The same God who shut some doors to protect you is now commanding others to open and welcome you in. Do not waste time resenting the ones that closed. Closed doors were as holy as the open ones. Some were sealed because what waited behind them would have sabotaged your growth. Others were shut because the season was wrong. Every no you received was divine insulation. God was not denying you. He was developing you. Now, you are ready to enter rooms you could not have handled before. The closed doors once frustrated you, but one day soon you will thank Him for them. When favor arrives, it often does so quietly. You will wake up one morning and realize that what once felt impossible now feels inevitable. Connections form naturally. Conversations lead to opportunities. People who once ignored you begin to notice your light. This is not manipulation. It is manifestation. Heaven has whispered your name into the right hearts, and the right hands are being moved to help you. You don't have to strive. You only have to stay in alignment. Chosen one. Favor is not random, it is strategic. It finds those who have been faithful in the unseen places. You cannot purchase it, earn it, or fake it. It comes as a response to obedience and endurance. When God releases favor, it carries purpose. It's never just about elevation. It's about assignment. The doors that are opening now are not just for you to enter, they are for others to follow after you. Your breakthrough becomes a blueprint. You have entered a season where access will redefine you. The rooms you step into will carry the weight of destiny. Every conversation, every opportunity, every encounter is part of divine orchestration. The favor of God is not just about being noticed, it's about being needed. Heaven is placing you in environments that require your anointing, your insight, your compassion. You are not there to compete. You are there to complete what others began. Heaven's word for this moment comes from Revelation. Chapter 3, verse 8, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it, for thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. That verse is not a metaphor, it's a promise. It reveals the heart of a God who honors consistency over visibility. You kept His word even when no one was watching. You did not deny His name when it was easier to compromise. And now, that faithfulness has unlocked access. Heaven remembers quiet integrity. It rewards the ones who stayed steady when others drifted. Chosen one, as these doors begin to open, walk through them with humility. Remember that favor is not ownership, it's stewardship. Every open door comes with a responsibility to carry light within it. Do not rush. Move with discernment. Not every invitation is divine, but you will know which ones are from Him by the peace that accompanies them. The right doors do not demand striving, they simply open when you arrive. In this season, even the resistance will serve your rise. The doors meant to block you will become platforms to prove your endurance. The obstacles will not vanish, they will transform into evidence of your growth. You will recognize that favor does not mean freedom from challenge, it means victory in it. So, do not fear the unknown halls ahead. The light that led you this far will not abandon you at the threshold. Step forward confidently. Heaven has already gone before you to prepare the way. The locks have been loosened, the hinges have turned, and what was once inaccessible is now being revealed. You are walking in a rhythm of grace where doors no longer close, they cooperate. The sound of divine favor will echo wherever you go, not because of what you've done, but because of who you've become. You are not just being welcomed into rooms, you are being entrusted with them. And once you step through, the same God who opened the door will sustain you inside. Chosen one, your miracle is already in motion. It is not coming, it has begun. What you cannot yet see with your eyes is already unfolding in the unseen. Heaven is never idle, even when earth feels silent. Every delay you thought was denial has been divine sequencing. God has been setting events in motion, positioning hearts, and aligning time itself to bring you into the fulfillment of what He promised. You may feel like nothing is happening, but that's because miracles do their best work in mystery. The same way seeds sprout underground, hidden from sight until the moment of breakthrough. So too is your miracle growing in places you cannot observe. Every prayer you've spoken, every act of faith you've taken, every tear you've sown has created movement in realms you don't yet understand. The answer is on its way, not traveling toward you, but through you. There's a shift happening inside you first. Before miracles appear around you, they awaken within you. Faith expands. Doubt dissolves. You begin to sense that something is different, even if nothing has changed yet. That inner awareness, that deep, quiet certainty is heaven's way of saying, it has begun. You are walking inside a prophecy that is already active. Chosen one, you've carried hope for so long that fatigue has tried to dull its light. You've believed when it made no sense. You've waited when others walked away. And now, the waiting is beginning to make sense. What once felt like silence was actually synchronization. Heaven's clock does not run late, it runs precise. The timing of your breakthrough is not just for your benefit, it is for maximum glory. When it happens, no one will be able to say it was coincidence. Every onlooker will know it was divine intervention. The manifestation of your miracle will come quietly, like dawn breaking through the dark. It will not announce itself with thunder. It will arrive in peace. One day, you will wake up and realize that the impossible has already occurred. The burden will have lifted. The answer will have arrived. The thing you used to pray about will have become part of your normal life. That is how heaven works, subtly, steadily, suddenly. You are about to see the fruit of faith that refused to die. Every time you spoke life over barren soil, every time you praised in pain, every time you stayed faithful when it made no sense, you were releasing power. Your miracle has been in motion since the first yes you gave to God. And now, heaven is whispering, it's time. The ancient promise still rings true. found in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That verse describes your current reality. Your miracle exists, it's simply unfolding beyond your natural perception. You are walking through the bridge between faith and manifestation. Faith is not waiting idly, it's acting with expectation. Every time you wake up and choose hope instead of despair, you are cooperating with heaven's movement. Every time you speak gratitude instead of frustration, you are accelerating the unseen. The miracle is not far, it is forming. Chosen one, prepare for the moment when what you prayed for becomes tangible. It may not arrive how you expected, but it will arrive exactly how it needs to. Some miracles come disguised as changes in direction. Others appear as new strength to endure what once exhausted you. Sometimes, the greatest miracle is not what happens around you, but what changes within you. God does not only deliver situations, He transforms souls. When your miracle manifests, remember it was never random. It was written before time began. You are simply stepping into what has already been decreed. Every detail is being finalized in your favor. The people you need will find you. The resources you lack will appear. The obstacles you feared will crumble. Heaven is already working on your behalf. All you have to do is remain in faith. This is not the time to doubt. This is the time to stand still and trust the unfolding. The movement may be invisible, but it is irreversible. What God has set in motion cannot be stopped. You will not miss it. You are part of it. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, type this number in the comments below. 333. This is not a superstition, it is a symbol of divine completion in motion. The number 333 represents perfect alignment between heaven, earth, and spirit. When you write it, you are saying, Lord, I agree with what you're already doing. I trust the unseen movement. I believe the miracle is manifesting now. Let this declaration seal your faith. You are not waiting for the miracle anymore, it's waiting for your recognition. Heaven has already begun, and soon the evidence will catch up with your expectation. Chosen one. You are now stepping into a realm of unstoppable grace, a flow so divine that what once resisted you will now assist you. The same wind that once seemed to push against you will now propel you forward. The opposition has served its purpose. The storm has completed its assignment. Now comes the season where favor follows you effortlessly, not because you've earned it, but because grace has chosen you. Unstoppable grace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the triumph of purpose in spite of it. It is the invisible strength that carries you through what would have broken others. You have lived this grace without realizing it. Every moment you thought was coincidence was actually divine preservation. Every closed door that saved you from destruction was grace at work. Every no that felt like pain was heaven's quiet protection. Grace does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers, "Not this way," and then redirects you toward destiny. There is a shift happening around you now. The spiritual winds are turning in your favor. Where you once faced friction, you will now experience flow. The places that drained you will begin to refresh you. What once felt like resistance will become rhythm. You have completed a long season of testing, and heaven has decided that it's time for manifestation. Grace has broken the cycle of struggle. Chosen one. Grace does not erase your scars, it anoints them. Every wound you've carried becomes a vessel for oil. Every painful experience transforms into power. You are now walking in a kind of grace that multiplies what remains instead of mourning what was lost. The story of your life is shifting from survival to stewardship. You are no longer holding fragments, you are holding favor. The miracle isn't just that you made it through. It's that you are still radiant after everything that tried to destroy you. Think of how rivers carve through rock. They don't force their way through in a single burst. They flow patiently, consistently, until even the hardest stone yields. That's what grace has been doing in you, quietly shaping, smoothing, and strengthening your heart. You didn't notice it at first, but grace has changed your posture. You respond with peace instead of panic, wisdom instead of anger, faith instead of fear. That is unstoppable grace. It transforms you before it transforms your circumstances. The Apostle Paul once wrote words that describe this reality perfectly. We find them in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Those words are not comfort alone, they are instruction. They teach you how to rest even when you're still in process. Grace doesn't just remove burdens, it redefines them. It reminds you that weakness is not a flaw, it's an invitation for divine strength to enter. Every time you felt unqualified, unworthy, or incapable, grace filled the gap. You have never been without it. You just didn't know how deeply it carried you. Chosen one, unstoppable grace looks like doors opening that you didn't knock on. It looks like opportunities reappearing that you thought were lost forever. It feels like peace in places that once felt like prisons. Grace takes the ashes and makes art from them. It takes what should have destroyed you and turns it into testimony. It takes your limitations and makes them the stage where God's power is displayed. In this season, grace will go before you and behind you. It will soften hearts, shift atmospheres, and rewrite narratives. People who once overlooked you will suddenly remember your name. Situations that once intimidated you will submit to your authority. You won't need to chase or prove. The evidence of grace will speak for itself. This grace cannot be earned or stopped. It outruns condemnation, outlasts fear, and outweighs every curse spoken against you. You are now walking under a covering that darkness cannot counterfeit. It will confuse your enemies and comfort your spirit. You will move with ease, not because life has become simple, but because your soul has learned how to rest in God's rhythm. Chosen one, the key now is to stay surrendered. Unstoppable grace flows through yielded hearts. Keep your spirit soft, your motives pure, your focus heavenward. The same grace that lifted you will sustain you. Don't try to control it, just cooperate with it. It will carry you further than effort ever could. You are about to witness what happens when divine grace meets divine timing. The walls that once confined you will crumble quietly. The blessings that once seemed delayed will overtake you. And as you walk in this season of unstoppable grace, remember it was never about your perfection. It was always about His promise. Chosen one, there is a reason your story has held so much pain. It was never meant to end with you. The valley you walked through, the tears you cried, the nights you begged for answers were not wasted moments. They were seeds of empathy planted deep within your spirit. What once broke you will now become the very bridge that leads others out of their darkness. You are the voice that emerges from the valley. Every chosen one must pass through seasons where silence becomes the only companion. In that silence, heaven shapes vocabulary not of complaint, but of compassion. The depth of your struggle has given you language for the broken. When you speak now, your words will carry weight because they were paid for in pain. The authority of your testimony comes not from theory, but from experience. You have walked through what others are still crawling through, and you carry light for their path. Chosen one, Your scars are not shameful, they are sacred. They are not reminders of defeat, but records of deliverance. Every healed wound carries a story that can heal another. This is why you survived what others could not, because your story was meant to echo beyond you. The valley did not silence you. It trained your voice to sing redemption songs. Your tears were not in vain. They became the ink of testimony. There are people right now praying for the comfort you already carry. They are searching for hope, not in sermons, but in stories like yours. They need to see that faith still works in the fire, that grace still finds the forgotten, that love still rescues the lost. Heaven will begin to draw such souls toward you, not for your status, but for your scars. You will speak, and they will see themselves in your words. You will tell them how you almost gave up, and they will find reason to keep going. Do not minimize what you've been through. Every moment of breaking was molding. You did not walk through the valley just to say you survived. You walked through it so others would not have to walk it alone. You are not just a survivor. You are a messenger. What once felt like torment is now becoming testimony. You have learned to recognize the cry of others because it once came from your own soul. The sacred text captures this mystery beautifully. It is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, on verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Your testimony is a weapon, forged in the fire of endurance. The blood of the Lamb is the foundation, but your story is the echo. Every time you speak of what God has brought you through, you tear down another lie of the enemy. The valley once sought to silence you, but now your very voice dismantles darkness. Chosen one, don't wait for a perfect moment to tell your story. Share it as it unfolds. Some will be inspired by your triumphs, but many will be transformed by your transparency. The world doesn't need polished perfection, it needs raw truth wrapped in love. When you speak from the valley, heaven amplifies your voice. You are not called to impress, you are called to impact. There is someone whose faith is flickering, and your story will become their spark. There is someone drowning in shame, and your honesty will become their lifeline. This is the beauty of redemption, it multiplies. What God heals in one heart becomes medicine for many. Your voice will reach people who would never step into a church, but they will listen because they see light in your eyes. Remember, the valley does not last forever, but its lessons do. You are stepping out of that low place carrying treasures you didn't have before: wisdom, empathy, authority, peace. You now understand the language of pain and the melody of hope. You can walk into broken spaces and release healing without effort. You are no longer afraid of darkness because you've learned how to shine inside it. Chosen one, this is what it means to be a vessel. You are not responsible for the outcome, only for obedience. Tell your story, even when your voice trembles. Speak hope, even when your heart still heals. Heaven will take your words and plant them in places you may never see. The echoes of your testimony will travel farther than your name ever could. The valley was not your burial ground, it was your birthplace. And now, as you rise from it, remember that every shadow only proves the presence of light. You are that light. You carry that sound. And your voice, shaped by struggle, will now set others free. Chosen one. Heaven is beginning to sound a trumpet over your life. It is the sound of emergence, of awakening, of calling. You have been hidden long enough. What was whispered in secret is about to be declared from the heights. There is a divine announcement being made about you, not to elevate your ego, but to establish your assignment. The season of silence is closing. The season of visibility is opening. The trumpet of glory is sounding. When heaven blows its trumpet, it is not noise, it is decree. It signals transition from preparation to manifestation. Just as soldiers in ancient times would move at the sound of a horn, the trumpet of heaven is calling you to step forward. You are not the same person who entered the wilderness, who endured the crushing, who wept in the night. You have been refined. You have been anointed. Now the call comes, not asking but commanding you to arise. You are being summoned into visibility, but not for fame. You are being called because the world needs what you carry. The light inside you was never meant to remain contained. It was meant to blaze. You have seen too much, learned too deeply, and grown too strong to remain silent. Heaven's sound is releasing you from the shadows. You are stepping into the arena, not as a spectator, but as a torchbearer. There is a reason it is called a trumpet of glory, because glory is not quiet. It announces itself not with pride, but with presence. The glory upon you will not need explanation. It will be evident. You will speak, and hearts will stir. You will enter rooms, and atmospheres will shift, not because of your name, but because heaven's fragrance moves with you. You have become a living testimony of transformation. As the prophet Habakkuk recorded in his book, chapter 2, verse 14. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. Those words are unfolding now, not just around you, but through you. The glory of the Lord is expanding, saturating every space your presence touches. You are part of that flood of light, an emissary of divine knowledge, a vessel carrying heaven's fragrance into forgotten places. Your rising is not about personal elevation, it is about prophetic fulfillment. You are one wave in the ocean of glory that will cover the earth. Chosen one, glory is heavy, it carries weight. To bear it, you must walk with humility. When God exalts you, it is not to make you look impressive, it is to make His name known through your life. The trumpet does not boast of its sound, it simply carries the breath of the one who blows through it. So stay low, stay grateful, and let God's power speak louder than your presence. You will notice the shift soon. Conversations will open where there was once silence. People will reach out unexpectedly. New opportunities will appear that match what you've been preparing for in private. This is not luck, it's divine orchestration. The trumpet of glory is echoing in unseen places, and every note carries your name. The sound of heaven moves like wind, it travels farther than you imagine. When you release your story, your message, or your gift, it doesn't stop where you think it does. It ripples through hearts, across nations, through generations. Every word you speak in truth becomes another vibration in heaven's melody. You are part of a symphony far greater than your own understanding. Chosen one. If this word resonates deep within you, if you feel the vibration of that heavenly trumpet stirring your spirit, then take a moment to honor what you feel. Respond not out of obligation, but out of recognition. Like the trumpet that needs breath to sound, this message continues to live through your engagement. When you like, you add your amen. When you share, you become a messenger. When you subscribe, you stay in the flow of revelation. And if your heart feels moved to give, to sow, or to support, consider it a way of adding another instrument to this sound of glory. Each gesture of generosity keeps the message alive, reaching those who might still be wandering in silence. Think of it like lighting another torch from your flame. It costs you nothing to lose your light, but it changes everything for the ones still in the dark. Finally, let your heart speak. In the comments below, share what part of this message touched your spirit. Was it the reminder to arise, the reassurance that your time has come, the gentle whisper that glory has found you? Your words may become the very encouragement someone else needs to hear. Heaven multiplies testimony through participation. The trumpet of glory is sounding, and its echo carries your name. Step forward, shine boldly, walk humbly. For what is unfolding now is not your rise, it is His revelation through you. Chosen one, the time has come for your crown to be revealed. The weight you've carried in silence, the trials that pressed against your spirit, and the lessons that carved wisdom into your soul, all of them were shaping you for this. You are being crowned not for survival, but for impact. This next chapter of your journey is not about endurance, it's about influence. Heaven is entrusting you with authority, and that authority carries responsibility far greater than applause or recognition. The crown is not made of gold, it is woven from obedience. Every time you said yes when it was hard, every time you chose forgiveness over retaliation, every time you stayed humble when pride knocked at your door, heaven was adding another jewel to your crown. You may not have noticed, but in unseen realms, your persistence was crafting a symbol of honor that now rests upon your life. You are not being rewarded for what you've done. You are being acknowledged for who you've become. Crowned for impact means your presence is now purposeful. When you speak, your words carry weight. When you walk, your steps shift atmospheres. You are not simply living, you are leading. You are not merely existing, you are establishing. Heaven crowns those who have proven that their hearts can carry power without corruption. You have passed that test. The authority resting upon you now is not for display, it is for destiny. You were never called to blend in. Even as a child, you felt the difference. There was always a sense that your path would not be ordinary. The misunderstandings, the loneliness, the strange turns of life, all of it was part of the preparation for leadership. God has been shaping you not just for personal victory, but for generational change. The crown upon your head is not just a mark of favor, it's a mantle of responsibility. Nations may not recognize you, but heaven does. Chosen one, impact does not always roar. Sometimes it ripples. The most profound changes often happen through quiet consistency. The world looks for crowns that glitter, but heaven crowns those who glisten with humility. Your impact will not always come from platforms, it will come from presence. From the way you treat others, the way you listen, the way you carry light into dark spaces. You are the sermon the world will read before it ever opens a Bible. The Apostle Peter once described this divine truth with simple majesty. We find it written in the first letter of Peter, chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people called into His marvelous light. This verse is not history, it's your identity. You are royal not because of title, but because of nature. You are priestly because you stand between heaven and earth, carrying light from one realm to the other. You are holy not because you have never fallen, but because you keep rising in surrender. The crown upon you is not ornamental, it is functional. It carries the authority to shift atmospheres, to intercede for others, to bring order where there was chaos. Chosen one. Your impact will not be measured by applause, but by transformation. You are being sent into environments that need what you carry. Some of those places will not recognize you immediately, but your fruit will speak. The grace on your life will make its own introduction. You will bring peace into storms, solutions into confusion, and healing into places long abandoned by hope. That is what it means to be crowned for impact. You become an answer in human form. Do not let fear whisper that you are unqualified. The crown fits you because it was molded by your suffering. Every challenge shaped it. Every loss refined it. Every act of faith polished it. What once felt like crushing has become coronation. The same weight that bent you low has now lifted you high. You were trained by adversity to reign in wisdom. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to walk with quiet confidence. The crown you wear is not fragile, it was forged in fire. Carry it with reverence, not arrogance. Your humility will protect what your anointing attracts. Move forward knowing that every step you take now carries influence far beyond what you can see. You have become a vessel of divine change, a living representation of redemption's beauty. Chosen one. Remember this, a crown is not an ending, it is a beginning. You have not arrived, you have been appointed. Heaven is commissioning you to build, to teach, to restore, to carry what you've received into the world. The crown is your reminder that your pain was not pointless, and your waiting was not wasted. It signifies the fulfillment of promise and the beginning of purpose. Walk as one who has been crowned not with pride, but with peace. For those who wear heaven's crown do not seek thrones, they build them for others. Chosen one, the miracle that cannot be stopped is already unfolding. It does not ask permission from circumstance, nor does it wait for human approval. When God decrees movement, no power in heaven or hell can hinder it. What began as a whisper in your heart has now become a symphony in motion. The pieces that once seemed scattered are aligning with divine precision. You have entered the moment where prayer meets fulfillment, where the invisible becomes undeniable. Every tear, every delay, every unanswered question has been building to this. You once wondered why so much resistance surrounded your life. Now you will understand that the weight of warfare was proportionate to the magnitude of the miracle. Heaven does not protect what is ordinary, it guards what is destined to shift history. That is why your journey has been so fierce. It was never about survival alone, but about preparation for unstoppable manifestation. The miracle is not an event, it is a movement. It is the culmination of every yes you whispered when surrender felt impossible. It is the outcome of your steadfastness in seasons of silence. It is the visible proof that God has not forgotten His word. The process was long, but the result will be swift. Just as a seed takes time to root before it bursts from the soil, so too has your promise been maturing beneath the surface. And now, it is breaking through. You are stepping into a season where what you prayed for will appear so naturally that it will feel as though it had always been there. The doors that were once sealed will seem to have never been closed. The people destined to walk with you will appear as if they were waiting just off stage for this very cue. This is what divine timing feels like. It arrives quietly, but when it does, everything changes at once. Chosen one. You must understand your miracle carries a ripple effect. It is not meant for you alone. When heaven performs the unstoppable, it does so to reveal its power to many. The grace that lifts you will spill over into those connected to you. The same breakthrough that transforms your life will ignite faith in lives you may never meet. God's fingerprints on your story will become evidence of His reality to others. You have been entrusted with proof that the impossible bends at the mention of His name. What once seemed immovable will yield like dust before the breath of His Spirit. The chains that bound your progress are shattering, not by your strength, but by His decree. Every obstacle, every delay, every false start, it all collapses under the weight of divine completion. Nothing can stand in the way of what heaven has already signed, sealed, and released, as the prophet Habakkuk recorded in his vision, chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. These words are the heartbeat of your miracle. The appointed time is not approaching, it has arrived. What you once called delay was only divine choreography ensuring that every element would appear in its proper place. Heaven does not rush. It arrives right on time. And now, that perfect moment has met your obedience. The vision is no longer pending. It is performing. Now, pause and feel this truth settle into your chest. Your waiting was not wasted. It was woven into wisdom. Every unanswered prayer became a seed of preparation that will now bloom in its appointed season. The story of your life is proof that miracles grow quietly. They take root in unseen soil, watered by tears, nourished by faith, until one day they rise and speak for themselves. Chosen one, look around you. Can you sense it? The air feels lighter because the battle has turned. The heaviness that once followed you is lifting. The uncertainty that once clouded your sight is clearing. The miracle is not waiting at a distance, it is unfolding under your feet. Every step you take now is walking upon fulfillment. This miracle cannot be stopped because it was never built on your strength. It was built on His promise. Promises from heaven do not expire, they mature. Every season of loss fertilized the soil for this harvest. Every failure refined your focus. Every heartbreak made space for holy rebuilding. You are now living inside a divine construction site where every piece fits with purpose. When people see you now, they will see a walking prophecy fulfilled. They will call it luck, timing, or talent. But you will know it was the hand of God all along. The impossible will unfold so smoothly that it will appear natural, but you will feel the supernatural woven through every detail. Chosen one. The unstoppable miracle is not coming to prove your worth, it's coming to prove His faithfulness. The same God who began this story will finish it with glory. You are not standing at the end. You are standing at the beginning of new impact. What He has started in you will echo through generations. The miracle cannot be stopped because the God behind it never fails. Chosen one, the story has come full circle. From silence to song, from ashes to glory. From hiddenness to revelation, you have walked through fire and come out shining. What began as pain has turned into purpose, and what once felt like loss has become legacy. You are standing at the threshold of something eternal. Heaven has confirmed your place, your purpose, your path. This is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of your influence. The words you have read are not just inspiration, they are a mirror of your destiny. You were never meant to live small or fade quietly into the crowd. You were meant to carry light, to stand in truth, to let your existence speak hope into places where it had been forgotten. You are the evidence that faith still works, that grace still rescues, that miracles still happen. Now that you have walked through this divine message, take a moment to breathe and give thanks. Let gratitude rise inside you like sunlight after a long night. You have survived the breaking, endured the waiting, and arrived at revelation. Heaven rejoices over your perseverance. You are living proof that chosen ones do not crumble, they rise. If these words have touched you, if you have felt heaven's whisper through them, take a small step to keep this light flowing. Like this message so others can find it in their darkest hours. Share it, not as promotion, but as prophecy. Someone you know may need the very word that healed you. Subscribe to stay connected to this stream of divine messages, so that together we can keep the flame of truth alive. And finally, share in the comments what this journey stirred within you. Your words might become the encouragement someone else needs tomorrow. Let your voice join the echo of chosen ones around the world, rising in unity, hope, and faith. The story continues through you.